Just kidding. We didn't go on a ride. I met up with two other guys, and we were gonna go, you know, not that far, but the road's pretty windy and it's kind of fun. Go find some sun because it's pretty cloudy. One guy broke down on the way to meet up with us at the gas station, and then when we were leaving the gas station, the other guy had an issue, so we called it a day, basically. Made it to the nearest brewery, like a normal Chad would do. Got some $30 plates of food and sat in the sun and, you know, wore all black and cried about it like normal biker guys should. So saying that, I'm just gonna peck away at the Shovelhead behind me here. Last video I just talked about it, brought it up. I figured that would put a little speed in my step to get it done. My Sportster runs mint after I timed it. It's been running really good. I'd like to time it again, but it runs so good that I don't think it needs to be messed with. So I think I'm gonna leave it the way it's timed. 28 degrees. I think I kept saying 28 and talking about 26. Anyways, that thing runs mint, so now it's on to another bike. So the Shovelhead behind me, I'm just gonna talk about what I've done to it because I've been going to the store constantly getting 2 bolts at a time. I've just been trying to keep everything uniform on the thing. I got this from somebody. I think he was just over the whole idea of doing what I'm doing right now because he had a bunch of other projects. So saying that, I got it, tore it apart, and got to the point where I was putting stuff back and realized, oh, I better just work on one thing before I started another because I can't do 2 things at once. That's why my garage looks so ridiculous, because I'm doing 3 things at once and I don't ever clean up after myself. But so for this Shovelhead, I'll just go from the front to the back. The headlight on the front here was this really horrendous, I don't even know what they call them, the big long lights on big trucks. If I know what they are, I'll probably end up having 20 of them on my big old truck outside, so I'll try not to. But I got this one from, you guessed it, a Sportster. Always keep your takeoff parts. You're gonna need them. Don't give them to other people. But anyways, I bent up a bracket on there, or I made it, cut some steel up, bent it, put some holes in there, and that's where it's at right now. I need to bend it a little bit more because it's kind of pointed a little bit far up. At the same time, I don't really care. Could just leave it. I gotta shave it up and finish that one, so I might do that today. Let's see, I got solid risers on there. They're not very solid. I got them for cheap, so I didn't expect them to even fit. I think just having those giant risers on there and these bars I got them at the dump for free, so that's kind of the theme of this bike is free or whatever I have. I'm putting it on this bad boy or whatever people give me. So that's the setup I got on here, and still kind of wobbly with those bushings. I don't know, maybe I need to buy steel ones because they're still plastic. So the tanks, the split tanks, I'm trying like hell not to put a sporty tank on here just because I think it's cooler. But every time I put these on here, I think they're super cool. I really like them. I'm kind of moving away from the Frisco style. Kind of want to make this thing like old school leather daddy chopper. So in the back of the tank, there's 2 bolts, and they're really weird. It's like a molded hole with thread in it. So I really didn't want to just keep jamming whatever I had laying around in there. I got some bolts, put them in there, and they were Allen's, and that was really stupid. Don't do that. I don't know, it's just what I had. So I took these tanks to the hardware store and put ones that fit in there supposedly. But boy, I really don't want to re-thread them or anything. I'm sure it's pretty thin. So where they're at is gonna be where they're at until I decide to paint this tank. Oh, I started putting the electrical crap on the top, just the cover, and I plumbed it with new hoses. So saying that, the tank's pretty much dialed. I still got to figure out what to do with the electrical. I need to get a speedo cable. Hopefully the speedometer cable and the speedo works. The guy who had it before put it in there and just put a bunch of silicone in there. So I cleaned up all the silicone. So I need like a gasket basically. I might have to make one. I don't know, I'll figure it out. But it would be cool to just have a Speedo on there. Why not? It's there. So I did the oil lines, was kind of my first step. I redid all the oil lines. Looked at a schematic from that year. Always look at the schematics from your manual. Made sense of it, and they were pretty much all there. I just wanted to make sure they were right. And having the radiator in the front makes it a little bit more confusing, but not really. I want to take that off, and I probably will down the road. But just to get this thing down the road, it's probably got it on there for a reason. Next, I was trying to do the carburetor to keep it secure, and I bought a little bracket, but I can't get the bolt out. I don't have a socket that'll fit on there without doing a bunch of damage, so that's ongoing, but it's there. I can't figure out what goes on this carburetor. It's a Chinesium carburetor, knockoff S&S one. A couple people told me just to run them. I got a Super B for it, that's what it came with. So if all else fails, I'll just put that back on there and I'll figure it out. My real question is the S&S carburetor, the Super E, the holes to put an air intake on, are they the same? I don't know. I don't really know anybody else with a Super E. Now that I think about it, I think I do. I'm just gonna leave it open. I should put something over it, but just to get this thing down the road and back and whatever, I'm gonna leave it. I'll probably just make like a cover that goes over it with some mesh material. I'll just make one myself. It's not that difficult. What else? So, big thing with this bike was all this side. That's why I've been on this side of the bike working on it. Everything was kind of mangled. So I had to take the brake lever off. For some reason, the master cylinder for the brake was like broken or something. So I took the old one off and I couldn't get it to work. So I bought another one. This one I put back, it seems to work. So it was working, and then I took the brake off and put it back, and now it's real soft. But that's just, I just gotta bleed it. I had to bend the brake because it was bent in from when it fell over. So that's probably needs more adjustment, but it's on there. So I plumbed it, I got the brake line, and then I bought some of these like knockoff Anderson pegs, I think they're called. I still got to put the other one on the other side. What's really holding me up now is the rear wheel. I borrowed another one from somebody else, and I kind of thought he had some other ones that are just, you know, been ripped on, kind of marred up and all that, and had a used tire on it. And for some reason we were like, or mainly me probably, was like, oh, the bearings in it aren't that great. Which now in hindsight, I should have just taken it. It's not like I'm gonna rip this thing to China and back. He let me borrow a project rim he's got, but it's brand freaking new. And the tires only rolled from the dirt into the garage, so I really don't wanna be an asshole and crank new brake pads and stuff onto it and put it on this bike and then have oil all over his brand new rim. So I gotta take the tire off this other one, re-spoke it because it's missing spokes. I mean, some are loose, and I popped the tire. I think it's tubeless. Don't quote me on that. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on. Next on the discussion is the seat. I don't really know what to do with the seat. The seat that came with it looks like it's been on fire 4 times. So I can't put that thing back on. I mean, the pan alone looks like it's been through hell and back, and it's got that spray adhesive on it to put the leather shit on. I could definitely tear the seat apart, clean the pan up super easy, paint it, and then refoam it and all that, but I don't want to. Saying that, somebody gave me this seat, which was super cool of them. It's a 2-up, and this is kind of what I want to go with this bike, is like a comfortable bike, but it's for an Ironhead, so it really doesn't fit. So I'm trying to make it fit and make it so, I don't even know, make it so I could take it off really easy, but I don't want to put a hinge on it and all that. It really doesn't fit a hinge, so I'm kind of up in the air. I want to put it on a post so I can just put it in the frame, and that way I can just take it off, and if I find another seat, I'll put that one on there. Other than that, I got little bits and doodads for it. I just got to wire it. I got a brake light and some other little doodads for it. Oh yeah, I also welded a tab for the tank, the oil tank. It's definitely not for this bike. I'm not really sure what kind of oil tank it is. It's huge, but it's pretty cool. It's a nice tank. Everything on this bike is pretty banged up, so nothing's nice. That's why I like it. This is a perfect candidate to chop. But for now, I want to run it. I want to put all the cool guy stuff on it. All right, enough talking. Let's get to work. Okay, so one thing is I got these new pegs. Can you see me? All right, it's gonna be hard to see me because I'm trying to get the bike and all that in the shot. Long story short, I bought these Anderson pegs. They came with a super long bolt, so I had to get another one. But I think these are called clevises. I'm not really sure, but this one was on there before, and it had a really ugly peg on it, so I got rid of it. This thing's gone. So I got this bad boy. This is the plate that goes on the cover. I had to go to the hardware store, get a shorter bolt, and then I got a rubber washer just in case I don't want to see it leak. So now I got it on there proper. Yeah, but for now, I gotta put it on there, which is pretty easy. But enough worrying, let's get this bad boy on there. So I only have 3 screws, so I figured the bottom ones would be fine. That would seal it up good enough. I don't think this thing is gonna have oil in it, not like a Sportster. So I figured these three will seal it up. Well, what the hell happened here? This one broke. Well, I was being an idiot and just turning. And then I realized, oh, that's where the broken part is. So pay attention to what you're doing. Dang it. All right, so I got the cover on. I got the peg on there nice and tight. I got the shifter on. Right away I noticed that this shifter, see if I can get in there, is too close to this bolt. This is about as close as I could get it. I wanted to get it farther up instead of being right at my foot, but I think I'll learn to live with it for now. I eventually want to take this cover off, and I will probably loop from the bottom for this, and I'll eventually have to move all this stuff, but for now it'll work. Another little goofy thing is I want to put a key switch on this. I was thinking about putting it in the middle of the tank where the old key switch was, but I don't really want my key dangling all over the place while I'm riding in front of me. I wanted to set up the original one, but it doesn't start your bike. It just turns everything on and off. And what's the point of that? So I have this that does all of it. So saying that, I need it to go right here. This is kind of the only spot I can put it. Everything else is pretty busy. I need to put this and a lights and another switch basically for my lights and accessories, so I can turn them off in case I got an issue. But I gotta make a bracket that comes down and all that stuff. All right, this is my idea. This is gonna be for the bolt hole. This is gonna be a bend and a bend. This will go on there, and then I'll have another switch. And in case I need another switch for whatever, I'll have that on there. This hole right here It's kind of weird. This frame goes like an S, this side's straight. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna S the piece of metal out and go down, if that makes sense. Let's do it. Okay, so here's the key switch I made. Pretty simple. Cut it out of some plate, bent the heck out of it. I heated it up, but I don't really think I needed to. I just He-manned it. But yeah, there it is. Key switch, and then I always have one for lights. Extra paranoid, I guess. Let me show you where it goes. It's kind of the only spot I could really find that wasn't terrible. That should look pretty cool. That bracket actually worked out pretty good. I thought it was going to be kind of wonky because the frame bends in, but once I tighten it down and all that, it should be good. My other concern is the back of this. That key switch is pretty big. Let me switch it around. So this key switch is giant. They're 20 bucks. They're waterproof and all that. You get them at like Napa or the auto parts store, but they're pretty big. This is what I got on my Sportster too. If I could find one that's not so long and not as giant, I might buy 2 of them, because this is pretty ridiculous. The only reason I use this one is because it's got the screw-on terminals. I like those way better than the tab and then you screw in, because if this thing loses its threads, you're bummed. I'd rather just tighten the hell out of stuff and then have a bunch of wiggle room. But anyways, that's all I got for you today. I'm pretty pooped. It's my Monday, aka Sunday for everybody else. I'm gonna go take care of the rest of the things I gotta do. So we'll see you next week.